that's a very important question. And that is why perhaps it caught so much of attention and imagination in youth. Secondly, we were not very sure, even the organizers were not very sure as to what would ultimately be achieved by the council, but whether it would be successful or not. We were quite conscious of the countermeasures that could have been adopted by India in order to spoil this effort. That is what has happened in the past years, many times. So we were quite apprehensive of that process. Then thirdly, we were also apprehensive of the response, particularly from the British community, the British themselves, and their political community. So, but grace of Almighty Allah, I think everything went off very well, and the conference was attended by not less than about 48 British MPs, which is unique so far of any conference we've had at the international level. And those MPs, of course, were also not backbenchers, but they were the frontline MPs of both the party stories and Labour. Secondly, the basic purpose of this conference that I understood and that I could visualize myself was to project the Kashmir issue among the international community from the Kashmiri's point of view. Now, this is yet another dimension which has been added to our activity on Kashmir. So far, the issue has been dealt with on territorial basis, either by India or by Pakistan. And this was the first time when at the international level, the Kashmiris organized a conference to put forward their point of view on what was happening. And I think it was very well received so far as I could get the feedback from different quarters. It was really well received. People started understanding the issue from the Kashmiris point of view. They already were quite aware of what the point of view of India and Pakistan was. But Kashmiri's point of view has gone by default and has not been understood. And compared to India and Pakistan, India has unfortunately great edge both in propaganda and in approach and in the universe and the mechanisms that they can employ, the media, etc. Over what is different from Pakistan's side. This conference that I could see from various addresses and speeches made by the people has brought home the realization that the Kashmiri issue cannot be resolved exclusively on the basis of territorial disputes, but it will have to be referred to the will of the people of Kashmir. That is why people in the conference spoke of third option also. That would be excused simply for the reason that the background knowledge of Kashmir issue is not very adequate. Now, third generation perhaps it's true. So they, in purely innocent effort, they started making suggestions. One of them, how the concept later. So from my point of view, I think we have, and by holding this conference successfully in London, has also opened up the subject for many of the surrounding countries. For example, the European community will start taking interest in already a lot of interest in this issue. The Americans also somehow or the other, in a basic manner, perhaps like to understand what the British government and the British political community would do about Kashmir. And they will a very specific position in the Commonwealth also, towards the Commonwealth countries. So by holding this conference in one key position, we have opened it up to the whole world as a matter. And if we keep following it and pursuing it, which we can do, like any point of questions that you might like to ask, then perhaps Kashmir issue will be properly understood, and the world community might be forced in their conscience to attend to it. So that is how I feel.
Do you think that you have achieved your objective
concerned only with the holding of the conference, no matter what was said in it, because the holding of the conference was important from my point of view. Then we succeeded there. Then the matter which was discussed was also very substantial, very meaningful, and very objective. So that way also it has been very successful. And then the participation, the quality and the quantity of participation is also superb, I should say. Knowing the background as I do, people who do not have no access to the background knowledge, they might take it different. But I know I have gone, in 85 when I wanted to talk to some great scientists about Kashmir, they only knew the Indian point of view and nobody had any knowledge of Kashmiri or Pakistani point of view. And they were not prepared even to talk about it, even inside the region. So having these 48 people, all these years we have strived hard in order to convince the people of the magnitude of threat which is conveyed inter alia to the region and through the region to the world peace. So I think that will also that objective has also been achieved. Thirdly, the object was to widen its scope and involvement. That has also been achieved. For example, the Kashmiri ladies, British Kashmiri ladies residing in UK, they for the first time they were involved in it, and they are taking it up very seriously. They're forming their own organizations and trying to take the human rights issue all over the world. So that has also been caused by holding of this conference. So in many ways, I think it has been a great success.
Participants would like to know whether the coverage given by foreign media and press was adequate.
That is an aspect which unfortunately is still lacking, and it is still dominated. That is my feeling. I don't have any mathematical explanation to it, but that is my feeling that it is still very strongly dominated by Indian influence. And the Western media somehow or the other paid no attention to a conference, such a huge conference. Except, of course, we are thankful that the BBC came to our rescue, and they did project the conference in a proper manner. But the local papers, newspapers, although we contacted them ourselves, they were absolutely quiet over it, because they don't say a word. That might continue for quite some time. Because all these 40 years, the media has been dominated by influence and other experiences. I don't have no idea. But that is an unfortunate aspect. That's not by default there, and we do not want to move like that. In fact, the amount of money which was needed to be spent for activating the media, we could not afford. And the media on its own is not bothered because they're looking for some huge explosion somewhere, and only then they'll pay attention. And explosion we are not being able to create as yet. And therefore, we can that is the situation with regard to it.
So, Doctor, do you think that Kashmir issue is now properly dealt with by European and American press, and your point is conveyed with its actual intensity through the media?
No, sir. I think as media is concerned, I'm sorry to say that media is still far behind the requirement. They are not giving that importance to the issue as it deserves. And with all our efforts that we could make, as I told you, no government agency was involved. It was all left to an NGO, a private organization, and they did whatever they could. But I think the European community, media-wise, is still short of understanding the issue. But of course, politically speaking, the European community particularly has been very much concerned, and their leaders have spoken to me personally, and they seem to be understanding the issue. And the official messages which I received from the various party leaders and the British Parliament, and that also conveyed the feeling that they understand what the issue is and they will be concerned and they would like to see it resolved. But nobody has a clue to how the issue could be resolved. So nobody has an idea of the mechanism, because everything is blocked by India so far. With all its might to see it forces is blocked. But otherwise, the question basically relates to media position. And media position remains almost the same so far, except for a few articles which have appeared in the British press and the press elsewhere. But there are only articles to the extent of articles. So all of them are very comprehensive and very effectively written. But all the same, the media approach so far is lacking, and we might have to comment on it to understand.
So how after your visit to Europe and participation in this international conference, what are the future plans?
We primarily want to follow it up, the conference which is being held, and follow it up both in the media and press, and particularly we want to follow it up by activating the Kashmiri community, the Kashmiri British community residing in the UK and in European, other European countries. That is that's the main approach. And for that matter, the people there, the Kashmiris, have started functioning already. They have started organizing other conferences in various other places around, and they started organizing the women for even the students, Kashmiri students studying in England and elsewhere. They have also, I have had reports that they have also become quite active. They have also started understanding, reading books, understanding what Kashmir issue is, and what their response. And they would in turn bring in pressure on the British government. For example, the British people are going to national poll, a general poll by March, somewhere by March. And by that time, I think a lot of pressure from the British Kashmiri community would have come in on them in order to make that decision clear. For example, the Labour Party convention mentioned Kashmir issue and stressed on its resolution. This is a unique thing in British politics. It's the first time Kashmir issue is mentioned by the convention, and not individuals, but the Labour convention took note of it. This will lead to conservatives taking a very serious note of it. The conservatives, I have reports, constituted a Kashmir committee in the parliament, and that committee is going to call on the foreign minister on the 5th of December. And I think some meaningful measures will be adopted by that meeting being held by these people. So this way, we will continue putting pressure on explaining our position. Not in a good position to put pressure, but of course the constituents in England, there are 80 seats of the British Parliament where Kashmiris can play a very effective role. Kashmiris and Pakistani communities can play a very effective role. And 80 seats in an election is a lot. To any government they would need a lot. So that's what we, and then of course in order to further follow it up, we will be maybe holding, for example, in Sardar itself, we propose to hold an international Kashmir conference sponsored by the government of Sardar Kashmir. And like that, maybe in the United States, Scandinavia, and Africa, and countries and elsewhere, we continue with our efforts to sponsor and to manipulate and to arrange conferences on international Kashmir, on Kashmir internationally, so that we could educate the public opinion and counter the propaganda campaign which is led by India. For example, India has come out with a very poisonous, very dangerous aspect of the campaign against the Kashmir issue, in which they are trying to portray Pakistan publicize and project the Kashmir issue abroad from Kashmir's point of view. There's a point of view by India, there's a point of view by Pakistan. I thought, and the Kashmiri community abroad, we always been thinking that perhaps Kashmiri should be going back and forth by not projecting it from the point of view of Kashmir. The Kashmiri's point of view also needs to be projected. So basically, this was the process, and the time chosen was also very appropriate in the sense that Kashmir issue has already drawn a lot of attention abroad. And if we did not act at this time and seize the opportunity to project it in a proper manner, then perhaps the advantage would go to somebody else and not to us and not to Pakistan. Therefore, basically we thought of projecting it abroad amongst both the Pakistani community and the other foreign
Also, people
in the economy, but quite Africans at the same time, whether it was really even if they were feared that it might perhaps turn to be a total flop, and that would be a very dangerous thing because then it would lack back.
not by way of audience.
By way of audience, by way of response, by way of remaining short of objectively projecting it, and all those things were put together. And particularly because the Indian government and the Indian lobby was very sure to try to sabotage the whole conference, and they did so for 1 hour by spreading a bomb scare while the conference was beginning. So, but incidentally, I think it has been a great success.
So that's how you think that the conference was a success, but on the holding of one conference, what steps have been taken to continue the process that is taking in the Western world about the issue?
You see, to tell you the truth, I think there is much very to be done. Because for all these 40 years, the case has gone right in front. We somehow or the other, the government of Pakistan and we government of Kashmir and the people of Kashmir, whether outside or inside, we fell short of discharging our responsibilities. I don't know why, but we cannot go and make ourselves answerable to what happened. But what actually has happened is this, and this vacuum was fully exploited by the Indian side. They took full advantage of this vacuum, and they kept projecting the issue for 40 years, making everybody believe in all these 3 generations that Pakistan had no case, Kashmiris had no case, and it was only India who was to be held responsible for what she did. So, by holding this conference, we had, to a very great extent, come up with a counter-measure and countering the Indian propaganda and projecting the issue from Kashmir's point of view. But the situation being very right, it did not take us a very great effort. With a very small effort, we were able to achieve what we really wanted to achieve. Now, having done this is not enough. Many more things will have to be done in order to follow it. For example, we will also have to remain quite conscious of what the Indians will do now after this conference. Having failed to sabotage it, they might end up countermeasures. They tried to hold a conference of their own, a closed-door conference in which they allowed only a few selected people sponsored by the Indian government in London. But it became a flop. It did not have any attention at all. We have to follow it up at many levels, which we are already planning. Of course, in collaboration with the British community and Kashmiri American community outside. For that matter, media will have to be approached and mobilized. Our community in all its different wings will have to be mobilized. sir, it's a good thing that Janata Party or some other party or the Indians try to hold, because by their holding demonstrations, people will learn more about Kashmir.
And the first thing we learned that there was no Muslim in the demonstration.
Oh, yes,
Many
people would
they
like
took
to
some Kashmiri pundits from Delhi.
People will also like to know when they hold demonstrations. People would like to know that the Kashmiris are being killed, their human rights are being violated. Therefore, Kashmiris are entitled to hold demonstration. What is it that the Indians want to hold demonstration for? Is it to continue with the gross violation of human rights? So it's a good thing.
So you have been suggesting in the past that the conference of leaders on both sides of the line of control
Yes.
is held in some neutral country.
Yes.
Who are the leaders whom you want to invite from the other side?
So let there be leaders, any leaders, that is immaterial for I am concerned. Anybody who is recognized to be a political leader, whether of a small stature or a very high stature, that is absolutely immaterial. All we want is a principle to be accepted, that it is the Kashmiris from both sides of the ceasefire. Let them be all sponsored by India, I would not mind for the time being. Once the principle is accepted, then we will be able to sort out and sift who are the people who genuinely represent the public opinion on that side and on this side. And if there are some people who don't represent anybody, even they can be included, you see. And even if they come and abuse somebody, some government or some ideology, I would not mind, as long as this meeting is expected to be held on a neutral ground. And this I discussed at length. And this was exactly the question which I was asked by Mr. Sora as to how to identify the recognized leadership. So I said we'll be able to do it in consultation with many other people.
The other night, I had a very interesting about this concept, all that. He has said that my father found it exceedingly India did not merge Kashmir, number one. Number two, he has said that if I were the Raja in 1947, I would never have seen India. And the third thing, she said, is Farooq Abdullah was pre-1953 position is restored. Why not pre-1947? Yes. And in the conference with the Minister of Home, India, he said that Pakistan is a party and Pakistan cannot be low Pakistan and Pakistan is also.
I'm told.
Could you say that Mr. Pakistan could also be like it?
I was just going to tell you that myself, that I have information that people who have organized this conference in London, they tried to contact Mr. Karan and invite him, not only Karan Singh, but Bhushan Bazad and Farooqi and some other people, 4 or 5 people, they were on the list to be invited. And I think they used or they used all possible sources to invite them. But somehow or the other, I was told that the communication could not get through to them. So it is already on the agenda.
Economic deterioration is looming large in occupied Kashmir because of area of tourism, trade, commerce, and general business. Would this not be the last filter to break the team back in Kashmir?
Well, I think the Kashmiris have shown quite formidable resistance, and they are quite aware of what is happening. They're not being taken by surprise. They're quite aware of what is happening, and I think despite all this, the resistance movement will continue with full force.
In the days of Yahweh, there was a small famine in Kashmir, in the early stages of the Kashmir struggle. At that time, the Prime Minister Pakistan said that they sent so many thousands of tons of wheat or rice to Kashmir. Pakistan government says because we can send the OIC to investigate information through the Red Cross. Food grain, something like that.
I think we are going to discuss this point with the Prime Minister tomorrow, inshallah. We'll see the Prime Minister and we'll discuss this out.
Is it necessary to continue the militancy in Kashmir? We have seen that some countries in the West have achieved their freedom without militancy in the recent past. I mean the countries which were under the thraldom of USSR. In this connection, 6 Muslim states of Central Asia are also thinking. They got their freedom without.
Yes, but it is not very right to draw an analogy between those countries and Kashmir. Those countries were supported by the United States against Russia. But here, Kashmir is a left all alone. Kashmiris are almost driven against the wall, only by India and the superpower. The superpower, unfortunately today, is playing in the hands of India and other blackmailing Pakistan by saying that Pakistan is supporting terrorism. The same Pakistan which supported the Pakistan movement was never called a terrorist country. But today, when it lends moral and political support to a very genuine movement which is internationally recognized, they turn out to say it's support of this as a terrorist country. So there's a lot of difference, number one. Number two is that the people of Kashmir, having tried for 40 years the passive resistance, it has come to an end, it's failed. And they have been forced in order to save their skin, their life, honor, property, religion, culture, in order to save that. The youth has resorted to arms. And this is the natural outcome of Indian repression. Any repressive measures will sometimes be backed by force. So it is in nobody's control, even if somebody wants to stop from here. We are not in a position to convey an order to them to stop fighting. We just cannot do that. It's not in our control. So it depends entirely on the attitude of India. If they withdraw their repressive measures, maybe the situation reverts to a normal political activity. And if they continue with their repressive measures, that will continue to be met by force. So it's as simple as that.
What is the role of the opposition in other Kashmir regarding the general situation of Kashmir and the issue of Kashmir?
You see, opposition in Pakistan or no, I'm saying that whether it's Pakistan and Kashmir is almost the same. There's not much of difference. Our people have somehow or other concerned themselves more with power politics than with the ideological and national politics. And they have discredited themselves and they have discredited politics. They have discredited this entire democratic system. Because democracy does not really mean power mongering all the time. So I'm sorry to make these unpalatable remarks, but I sincerely believe that this is not to discredit anybody, but this is what really it is. We could have, despite our differences, we could have always made it possible to sit together and discuss the Kashmir situation and this catastrophe which the whole nation is going through. But we don't find it convenient to do that. I don't know why. Why is it so?
Did you invite anyone?
Well, I did try to talk to them, you see, not invite them officially, because that would have again meant only exonerating myself of the responsibility and throwing the burden on them. I did not disorganize this. So, but they did not show any desire to sit together over Kashmir issues, except of course they did to the Sardar Qayoom, once or twice categorically said that he would be willing to cooperate on this issue. But then he was involved in the local body elections also, so we could not coordinate in the international Kashmir conference which was being held in London. But all the same, we continue making our efforts to bring about the national consensus over the Kashmir issue and the approach that we should
When you were in UK, there were reports that so many alternative solutions to the
It is because so unfortunate, you know the EU background. But I did not make any suggestions, original suggestion myself. I simply said, and I'm on the record having said, that a number of proposals from time to time have been suggested, starting from Dixon's plan down to independent Kashmir by various people. So it is not one suggestion, but we must refer them back to the United Nations resolutions, which they can all be considered only within the framework of the UN resolutions. And then I said I went a step beyond that. And I said if anybody has the authority, which we do not have, to bypass the UN resolutions and bring about another situation, well then, if that situation emerges, we would be prepared to consider it. But the question is that we are not in a position to do that. And who else is in a position we do not know. If there is somebody, I told this to Stevenson, the leader of that parliament, the European Committee of the parliament group. I said, if you are in a position to bypass the resolutions and come out with a third proposal which is acceptable, then one can sit down and consider. But the question is, who is in that authority? I don't find anybody. The United States is not in that authority. India has no authority. Pakistan has no authority. Everybody is committed to UN resolutions. And if you want from Kashmiri that they must unilaterally declare their separation or secession from the UN resolutions, why should we do it? We can't throw the case to wilderness. So that was the argument which I advanced. And I read myself yesterday in one of the papers saying that Sardar Qayoom has made 12 alternate suggestions. I did not make any suggestion. I simply counted, recounted what has been proposed from time to time. Yes.
So you want to stick to this UN resolution?
There's no way out. The question is, what is it? But if somebody wants to discuss, and you must make market, the people who are aware of what happened at the time of partition and how this resolution came about. There are very few people left in the world who know about it. And there are very few people who feel themselves concerned with 40 years back. So the new generation has come up, and you can't tell them by saying that because you do not know anything, that don't talk to us. But you can't say this, you see. You have to educate them when they ask these questions.
Sardar, what is the role of the Jammu Kashmir Council in Kashmir and other Kashmir? Is it necessary to continue this council, which is, I think, the brain child of the
So the question of council, from my point of view, remains the same as it was in 74. I was of the opinion, against the wishes of my party people, that some loose constitutional arrangement, working arrangement with the federal government is very essential. Of course, we meant thereby that it should not be modified. It should be a bona fide arrangement, because otherwise the two parties will start drifting apart. And the future prospects coming up, as one could see, supported and accepted it, knowing that some good people might tomorrow come up and would try to see, make it bona fide. So I think the council has, the council's existence, of course, I think to that extent is very justified, except that its functioning might at times come under criticism, and question whether it's functioning properly or not, whether it's fulfilling those obligations or not. That is a point beside. But I think the very existence of council is essential in order to mark a huge constitutional working arrangement with the federal government.
But for the last 10 years, it has been effective environment.
That may be quite true. That is why I said in the beginning myself that in principle, you see, there has to be some sort. For example, a situation brought up the other day by Mohammed as Prime Minister, refusing to handle. But what would happen? If there was no constitutional arrangement, then some extra constitutional steps by force should be resorted to. And if that happens, that will provide a handle to India to beat Pakistan. Yes, exactly.
They get fighting.
That's right. So that is why I anticipated this. It's a human problem all over the world. So as far as the arrangement is concerned, it's all right. But the functioning of the arrangement might from time to time be really. तो अब ये देखना है कि इनमें से कोई चीज हल करवाती है कि नहीं करवाती है कश्मीर इशू को, क्या होता है? मैंने मीडिएशन का कल जिक्र किया प्राइम मिनिस्टर ने, तो इस तरह ये सब चीजें हैं जिनको देखना है और उस पर हमारा पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू है। तो उसको लोगों की क्योंकि अपनी बैकग्राउंड नॉलेज नहीं है कश्मीर इशू की, तो जिसको जी चाहता है उसकी तावील करके मकसूद कर लेता है इस्लामी ये सब कर पा रहा है। पर इट्स गुड थिंग, कंट्रोवर्सी की कोई नो हार्म है।
लेकिन ये चीज तो है कि अब इस तरफ से उस कंसेप्ट, उस आइडिया के खिलाफ कोई ऐसा सख्त रवैया नहीं रहा जैसे पहले वक्त। ये चीज तो हम सोचेंगे नहीं, ये जो इंडिपेंडेंट कश्मीर का मौका ये है ही,
हम सोचे
मतलब वो रवैया नहीं रहा।
असल बात हमारा रवैया वही है, इसलिए अगर हम सोचें इसका ऑप्शन और कब्जा है इंडिया का, तो इससे ज्यादा हिमाकत और बेवकूफी की बात क्या है कि इंडिया तो किसी बात को मानने के लिए तैयार नहीं हो। हम का थर्ड ऑप्शन फोर्थ ऑप्शन सोचते रहे, जो इंटरनेशनली हमारी पोजीशन है उसको तो हम कॉम्प्रोमाइज कर दें और हाथ में कुछ ना है। इससे ज्यादा हिमाकत और क्या हम कर सकते हैं? अलबत्ता जब फॉरेनर्स ये बात करते हैं कि भाई इसके बारे में क्या ख्याल है, तो फिर उनको एक्सप्लेन करना पड़ता है, समझाना पड़ता है। मैं सोनाब को मैंने यही कहा, मैं कहा यार तुम नॉर्मल आदमी हो, हमारा और इंडिया का आपस में केस है, अब यूनिलेटरली सरेंडर कर दें तो केस क्या रहा? फिर बात ये बात
तो कुछ पहले के जो लोग इस नजरिए के एक्सपोनेंट्स हैं उनको हम उस तरह का दुश्मन नहीं समझते। अब जिस तरह के पहले سمجھتے تھے.
ہم نے بھائی اس نظریے کے خلاف بات کی ہے, ہم نے نظریے والوں کے خلاف کچھ نہیں کہا, نہ ان کو
دشمن اس لحاظ سے کہ ایک خاص کے دشمن کیا
دیکھیں بات یہ ہے, ایمانداری کی بات یہ ہے کہ آپ جو اینالائز کریں تو یہ تھرڈ آپشن کی بات جو ہے یہ سارے کشمیر ایشو کو سیبوٹاج کر دے. اس کا کوئی فائدہ پہنچے گا تو انڈیا کو پہنچے گا, نہ کشمیری کو کوئی فائدہ. اچھا دیکھیے تھرڈ آپشن ہم نے ڈسکس کیا تھریڈ گیا سولار کے ساتھ, گرینسٹن کے ساتھ, اسٹیونسن کے ساتھ, تو یہ جو لوگ آتے ہیں ابھی ڈیفینس کالج میں آئے. اسٹیونسن نے جو آخری اس گروپ میں تھا, جب میری بات اس نے تقریر سنی تو مجھے کیا لگا کہ مجھے بہت خوشی ہوئی تمہاری بات سن کے کہ تم نے لبرل ایٹیٹیوڈ دیا. اس بات کیا لگا, اچھا تم یہ بتاؤ کہ ہاؤ ڈو یو آئیڈینٹیفائی کشمیر. بالکل یہی سوال کیا. میں نے کہا کشمیر مینس 84,000 اسکوائر مائل کا. اچھا لگا کہنا گیا یہ تو مشکل ہے. میں نے کہا پھر کیا آسان ہے, واٹ از اٹ یو آر ایمنگ ایٹ. تو کہنے لگا وہ ہندو مجاہد ایریا تو پھر ظاہر ہے کہ وہ تو نہیں آئیں گے پاکستان کا, تو ناردرن ایریا تو پاکستان نہیں چھوڑیں. میں کہا پھر بات کیا بنی, انڈیپینڈنٹ کشمیر کا مطلب تو یہ ہوا کہ نام انڈیپینڈنٹ کا دیں اور 4 حصوں میں تقسیم کرنا ہے کشمیر کو. میں نے کہا یہ کون بیوقوف کشمیری ہے جو اس کو ایکسپٹ کرے. ان کو کانسیپٹ انڈیپینڈنٹ کشمیر کا یہ ہے کہ وادی کو ہندوستان اور پاکستان کا فلیگ لہرا دیا جائے اور دونوں کے کنٹرول میں باقی کو تقسیم کر دیا جائے. یہ ہے پریکٹیکلی ان کا پوائنٹ آف ویو. ہمارے لوگ بدقسمتی سے یہ سمجھتے ہیں کہ جب وہ لوگ انڈیپینڈنٹ کشمیر کی بات کرتے ہیں تو وہ 84,000 میل کو میں نے جب اس کو سنا تو اس کو بدت پڑا کیا ہے. اس کا مطلب تو یہ ہوگا کہ انڈیا 5 بڑے حصوں میں تقسیم ہو جائے. ہم کیسے یہ سجیسٹ کر سکتے ہیں. تو یہ لفظ انڈیپینڈنٹ کشمیر مسنومر ہے اور ڈسپٹیو ہے, ڈسپشن ٹریپ لیڈ بائی فارینر. اس کا نام لے کے ہم کشمیر کو اپنے موقف سے ہٹا دیں اور کشمیر کو تقسیم کر دیں فریگمنٹیشن کا. تو ہم کیسے کر سکتے ہیں. اس کو میں نے سب جانا چاہتا ہوں. لیبر پارٹی کے لوگ سب سے زیادہ وہ کرتے ہیں, کچھ لوگ انڈیپینڈنٹ کشمیر کی سب باتیں نہیں کرتے تھے. ان کے لیڈر نے آفیشیلی لکھ کے کرنے کیا ہے کہ اٹس اے پرابلم بٹوین انڈیا اینڈ پاکستان. انہوں نے تو انڈیپینڈنٹ سارا رول آؤٹ کر دیا, اس لیے سارا رول آؤٹ کر دیا آفیشیل ورژن کا لیبر پارٹی. تو اب یہ انڈیپینڈنٹ کشمیر کا لفظ صرف کشمیریوں کو بیوقوف بنانے اور پاکستان میں کشمیریوں کی حمایت کو کم کرنے کا نتیجہ پیدا کرتا ہے. کچھ اور نتیجہ نہیں پیدا کرے گا کہ جو پاکستان کے لوگ کشمیر کی حمایت کر رہے ہیں وہ کشمیر کی حمایت پاکستان کی حیثیت سے نہ کریں بلکہ ایک غیر قوم کی حیثیت سے کریں کہ کشمیری اور قوم ہے, کشمیر اور ملک ہے, پاکستان اور قوم ہے اور ہم بیچاروں کی چلو ہمارے پڑوسی ہیں تو مدد کر رہے ہیں. اس کا مطلب تو کشمیریوں کو پاکستان کی حمایت سے محروم کرنا ہے. انڈیا بائی اسٹیپ کین بی بہائنڈ. The foreign countries supporting India, they can be behind it. Our own foolish people can be behind it.
مگر اسٹارٹنگ پوائنٹ تو یہ ہے
ان کو تو بات نہیں کرنا ہوتا ہے. وہ تو میڈیشن نہیں مانتا تو انڈیپینڈنٹ کشمیر کی اصطلاح کی بات ہے. وہ تو لفظ میڈیشن نہیں ایکسپٹ کرتے کہ کوئی آدمی نام لے کے میڈیشن. اب میڈیشن میں تو ہوتا کچھ نہیں ہے. میڈیشن از اونلی فرینڈلی گڈ جیسچر, مطلب تو اس کا کچھ نہیں ہوتا. وہ بھی ماننے کے لیے تیار نہیں. انڈیپینڈنٹ کشمیر تو بہت بات کی دور کی بات ہے. دس آل شوز کہ وی ہیو نو کیس, آور کیس از ویری ویک اینڈ وی آر جسٹ ٹرائنگ ٹو فش اینڈ ٹربل واٹر سے کوئی مچھلی ہمارے ہاتھ میں لگ جائے تو ٹھیک.
جس کے منہ میں جو ہے کہیں سر واٹ از دی امپیکٹ آف دس موومنٹ جو اکراس ہو رہا ہے ان دے رہے لوگ وغیرہ ادھر آپ جو دیکھ رہے یورپ نیشنلٹی کیا ہے اس کا
امپیکٹ ہے پرٹیکولرلی وائلیشن آف ہیومن رائٹس پر بہت امپیکٹ ہے. البتہ اس امپیکٹ کو ڈائلیوٹ کر رہا ہے انڈیا تھرو امریکن سپر پاورز کے پاکستان ٹیررزم کو سپورٹ کر رہا ہے اور اس طرح پاکستان کو پریشرائز کر رہے ہیں. ادروائز بہت امپیکٹ ہے.
وہ زور نہیں دیتے انڈیا کو جو پرمیشن ٹو وزٹ دیٹ پارٹ آف.
یہ تو میں کہتا ہوں امپیکٹ یہی ہے نا. کئی وفود نے انڈیا کو لکھ کے بھیجا ہے کہ ہم جانا چاہتے ہیں کشمیر.
آپ کے وہاں جانے پر کانفرنس بلانے پر ایڈریس کرنے پر انڈیا نے کچھ کانفرنس کیا وہاں رکھا تھا اپنا.
انہوں نے ہمارے کانفرنس سے پہلے 8 دن پہلے خود کانفرنس بلائی.
وہ کیا نام تھا
اس کا بھی کشمیر کانفرنس نام رکھا انہوں نے.
بلائی تھی انڈیا والوں نے
ٹوٹل فلاپ لندن میں. اور انہوں نے بہت ایفرٹ کیے کہ اس کو ایم پیز نہ جائیں, اس کانفرنس میں نہ جائیں, بہت ایفرٹ کی, بڑی فرینٹک ایفرٹ کی, لیکن کسی نے ان کی بات نہیں سنی.
تو امریکن ایجنسیز بھی یہاں کور کر رہی تھی اس کو فار دا پرپز آف پبلسٹی اینڈ نو
کا مجھے نہیں پتا کب کیا ہوگا.
اسٹارٹنگ پوائنٹ ہوتا ہے بات کرنے کے لیے, کیونکہ وہ اپنا پلیئر جب تک دونوں جو ہے نہیں کرتے تو بات نہیں ہو سکتی.
سر بات یہ ہے کہ بھائی میں نے یہی سنا سے پوچھا, میں نے کہا بھائی انڈین کہتے ہیں کہ بات کرو, میں نے جو ادھر نہیں معاملے تھے, میں نے کہا تم ذمہ داری لیتے ہو کہ انڈیپینڈنٹ کشمیر بات کرنا, میں ذمہ داری نہیں لیتا. میں بات کس سے کریں, یعنی بھائی کرنے کی بات ہوتا وہ کہ کوئی بات کرنے کے لیے ذمہ دار اتھارٹی, اب امان اللہ خان بات کرے یا آپ بات کریں میں بات کریں, اس سے تو ہم بات نہیں کر سکتے. اگر انڈیا یہ سجیشن کرے تو ضرور بات کرنی چاہیے, آئی ڈونٹ مائنڈ. یعنی انڈیا کوئی سجیشن کرے, اس میں میڈیشن کی چیز تو پرائم منسٹر نے کہا بات کرنے کے لیے تیار ہے. یعنی کوئی بھی بات کریں لیکن وہ بات کرنے والے اس قابل ہونے چاہیے کہ ان کی بات کا کوئی مطلب ہو. اگر ہم اپنی طرف سے یہ بات شروع کریں, مثلا پاکستان کہے گا جی آؤ انڈیپینڈنٹ کشمیر پر بات کرتے ہیں, تو اس کا مطلب یہ ہے کہ پاکستان نے اپنا کیس گیو اپ کر دیا. اگر ہم یہ کہیں کہ بات کریں ہم نے اپنا کیس گیو اپ کر دیا, ہم کیوں گیو اپ کریں بات. لیکن بات تو کسی ایشو پر بھی کرنے سے انکار نہیں کرنا چاہیے. اگر ہم انیشیٹ کیوں کریں, میرا پوائنٹ ابھی یہ نہیں ہے کہ بات نہیں ہونی چاہیے, میں تو کہتا ہوں ہم انیشیٹ نہیں کر سکتے, ہمارا کیس ہی نہیں, وہ کریں. یہ تو محنت کرنے والی بات ہے کہ اچھا جی آؤ کو مجھے مانتے تھے جوڑا اسی پر بات کریں, یہ تو بڑی یہ ہوتا اور غلط پوزیشن ہے جس سے ہم اپنے آپ کو ڈالتے ہیں.
یہاں بھی اخباروں نے بلا دیکھے سوچے انتظار کی لکھنا شروع کیا ہے.
مطلب کچھ اسٹرانگ لابی behind it. وہ کہتے ہیں کہ کشمیر has never been part of India. It was independent.
لیکن بھائی آل رائٹ واٹ ایور اٹ ہیز بین, لیکن سوال یہ کہ کیس سارا اس یونائٹیڈ نیشنز میں. بیسک پوائنٹ یہ ہے کہ یونائٹیڈ نیشن سے کیا کیس واپس لینا یا اس کو بائی پاس کر کے کوئی, یہ کون کر سکتا ہے, ہو ہیز انڈیا. اس کی ایز سمپل ایز دیٹ. یعنی ہم یونیلیٹرلی لوگ مر رہے ہیں وہاں اور ہم یونیلیٹرلی اسٹینڈ جین کرتے چلے جائیں. یعنی اس سے بڑا ظلم کشمیریوں کے ساتھ اور کیا ہو سکتا ہے. میں تو اس بات کو ایکسپلین کرتا رہا ہوں, میں نے کسی کو انکار نہیں کیا کر سکتا ہوں. میں کہا تم یورپین پارلیمنٹ والے مل کے یونائٹیڈ نیشن کو کہو کہ تم ایک پر بیٹھو, ہم فیصلہ کروا دیں گے. میں نے کہا تو تمہارا سفارا کرنے بس ہم کس اتھارٹی پر بات کریں, ایک ہماری اتھارٹیٹیو پوزیشن ہے, کمیٹڈ پوزیشن ہے, اس کو چھوڑے ہم کیسے چھوڑ کے جائیں گا. ویری کنسسٹنٹ اینڈ لاجیکل. اس میں کوئی جذباتی بات نہیں ہے, اس میں کوئی پالیٹیکنگ نہیں ہے, بالکل سیدھی بات ہے.
یہ ہماری گورنمنٹ نے بھی مسئلے کو کچھ پیش کیا ہے, آپ بھی کوشش کر رہے ہیں. Do you think we are moving nearer to solution?
We are moving ahead. Yes, we are moving ahead. Yes, definitely. We are moving ahead.
It's not within the business.
No, certainly not. It's moving ahead.
گورنمنٹ نے فائٹرز ہیں کہ کچھ گروپس کو آفر دی کہ آپ سپورٹ سے بات کریں, مین پر ٹرائی کر رہے ہیں, بات کرنے کی کوشش کر رہے ہیں. اس بیک ڈراپ پر دیکھیں تو یہ بھی ہوتی ہے کہ ہمارے یہاں ہے کہ ہم جو کوئی اسٹینڈ لیتے ہیں وہ جو ہے جو لڑ رہا ہے ایکچولی اس کی کوئی وائس شامل نہیں ہے, تو جو وہ آرگنائز کر رہے ہیں اس سے بات کرنے کو جا رہے ہیں.
ایکچوئل پوزیشن یہ نہیں ہے, لیکن اس پر کمنٹ کرنا بھی چاہیے. یہ پینٹاگن سے ایسے اپنے لیگ میں کر رہے ہیں, پینٹاگن سے ٹیم آئی they might be wanting to, but still they might be under a lot of pressure. You know, when this summit took place in Awal,
Yes.
and Bhutto's time, I insisted that I should invite you to it. Then finally agreed that I will only be admitted in the first inaugural session as an observer, but I can't be invited officially because of the constitution and all that.
Yes. But this government is more inclined to
No, the difficulties are the same. That government of this government is just the same. All the same, I was then, I did attend that inaugural session. But later on, then I insisted that it should be included in the agenda of the conference. Kashmir issue. Mr. Bhutto himself explained to me the difficulties that take pride in taking up Kashmir issue in his summit. He struck a compromise that said, all right, if you're not going to do that, then I should not be stopped from going around and meeting technical stations and explain. That he agreed there. Yeah. And then I pursued it very extensively. Of course, quite fruitful exercise. So like that, just interconnectivity with our Pakistan basis internationally. And then we tried to carve out another position where something could be done. I so far do not know what exactly the position of government of Pakistan is done in some of them.
I haven't heard from them yet because it's starting on this and about people like you haven't heard anything from the government as far as nothing else.
Nothing. It is reported in the press that they have included this in the agenda. This is also for the first time. Kashmir will be mentioned in the OIC.
Was it mentioned in the last OIC?
In the OIC in Turkey, Istanbul. That was for the first time.
They mentioned Kashmir. What would you want from the OIC? You know, I mean, if there's support to the Kashmir. But I mean, are you looking for
I want them to take a very clear position in accordance with the UN resolutions, and they should insist on the implementation of the UN resolutions. That's a position internationally accepted, and nothing beyond that.
Yeah.
And if it is not done, then the OIC summit should consider economic sanctions against India, and the least could be economic boycott against India.
Shouldn't that have happened before now, in your opinion, or is that something that is still the economic boycott of India? Is that not something that you think should have occurred before now, or is it?
Well, according to my desire and my wishes and what I understand, it should have gone long ago, but the difficulties that people have faced, particularly in understanding the Kashmir issue, in fact, and the Kashmir issue having been pushed back to in priorities at a very low level, that might not have been possible at that time technically. But now as it is, the issue is gone and taken along with the world, and after Iraq and after Kuwait and all that, those issues will still remain a burning question to be settled. One of them is Kashmir.
What's the other?
The other is Palestine also. So with that, I think, and then what India itself has done in Kashmir. The strong argument in favor of all this is that India has refused to human rights and uncompromising attitude on anything, and refusal to allow international organizations to play their role in humanitarian organizations, disallowing journalists to think for themselves. On one hand, they claim to be a democratic country, on the other hand, and also secular and respecting human rights and all that. And on the other hand, the whole thing is denied. Now, this is a situation, a new situation. In this situation, perhaps economic sanctions or economic boycott would be very much justified.
Have you pushed in any way for these economic sanctions, for example?
I've been mentioning this, you see, in various conferences and meetings that took place since 1978 onwards.
Particularly in light of the changes in the world today.
Yes, even last time, a few days back when I was in Jeddah and Makkah, I spoke to the leaders, so the representatives from the universities, the community, and the clergy, and the people who met over there. Very little time I spoke to them, and I spoke to them. I followed this out, but they are refusing or anything. Then what is the way out? Either people keep watching the repression and the annihilation of the people, or they resort to some substantial measures.
Are you concerned with everything that's happening that Kashmir is being
about it, and they're being, on one hand, they seem to be tacitly supporting India in its repression and violation of human rights, and at the same time, they appear to be blackmailing Pakistan into submission by trumpeting false claim of terrorism.
Well,
it's a false allegation, totally false allegation, and it's leveled deliberately by design to pressurize Pakistan into submission.
But this, in this last round of high-level visits from the United States, prior to their arrival, there was a lot of talk when Bartholomew came in, when General Moore was here, that they would be safe to Pakistan, that they believe that Pakistan is arming militants crossing over, and that is something that Pakistan has to stop doing.
Yes, I know they might have said so, and if they have any information that Pakistan is arming them.
But it's clear Jamaat is. I mean, there's no question that Jamaat. There's no question that Jamaat is arming them. And I mean, as money is being
not only Jamaat, other people might be doing that. Individuals in this country, and sometimes I mean, if it is experience, I would like to meet them who are spending money.
Hussein Khani routinely arranges interviews with some of them too.
No, I don't know what he is doing, but I know people come to me asking that this is the money we want to give to, want to purchase weapons and give it to them. And I have discouraged myself some of the people, some money people, discourage them from doing it because this sort of indigenous support might create chaos instead of being helpful to them if you come from that point of view. So the question of armament is really not a serious thing, but taken up by the United States and the UK and other people by design. Even a single weapon which trickles out is attributed. But this is going too far. I don't think it is of any substance. Pakistan government should have been able to refute it if it was all this time.
But as you say, they are, whether blackmailing or they're certainly using the Kashmir issue against Pakistan or to, and there is a fear that the Kashmir issue could result and has been the reason why Pakistan has gone ahead with its nuclear program in their eyes. So I guess, where do you see it going from here? You know, the United States is taking a very strong stand, believing that Kashmir is sort of a reason for Pakistan moving more militaristic towards India. Where do you see it going? Is it going to, you say that you don't want war or whatever, but where do you see this going? I mean,
this is going to a very serious situation. It's leading to a very serious situation. Because you see, if things continue happening as they are, and both the countries do not resort to resolution of the issue by recognized political peaceful means, then it's leading to complete chaos and a showdown at any time.
Is it that close? I mean, there was some heavy.
It will not be very close. It will not be very close, agreed. But the logical answer to this is like this.
Has the situation changed at all? You know, clearly over the last, since the uprising began again and really took strength in 1990, has there been any change in terms of India's attitude? Do you see any movement that gives you hope that...
Movement there is, I think, at the political level. There is a movement at the intellectual and political level. But it seems to be only a sort of a pious effort without causing any dent in the situation. Because you see, as long as the Indian attitude remains intransigent as it is at the moment, refusing and rejecting every possibility of resolving the Kashmir issue, I don't know if those efforts and those changes can really be of any avail. But there is certainly a lot of underlying moral pressure being exerted on both sides, and almost everywhere. Even the stand taken by Americans by design, calling it a terrorist support, even they themselves morally as self-respecting people with conscience must be convinced that Kashmir issue has got to be resolved. It cannot be left like that. And there's a lot of things which I sense in the conference in London, talking to various people privately around the table, you see, and the people were very conscious of it, and they knew what was happening, and they were very concerned. And in fact, many of the people asked me, what do you expect expect our government to do for Kashmir. These are things which have never happened before. I think that a lot of foreign pressure will come in from different quarters. The Commonwealth countries might exert some influence. The European Parliament community they might do the same. And this will lead to many other things to understand and to be concerned about.
Do you say, what advantage is there to the Americans to say that this is, to pressure Pakistan into saying that they're supporting terrorism? I mean, in many ways, the United States has come out strongly condemning India for its violations of its human rights violations.
That is where one keeps doubtful about the ocean. The same breath they condemn violations, and the same breath they call Pakistan supporting. And that is balancing the whole thing is leading it nowhere. And they know, for example, the support of Pakistan to Afghanistan was never termed as support to terrorism. Why is this different on Pakistan is supporting a genuine movement? It's a movement of the people, mass uprising. It's not an instigated or depending on based on anything. It's a genuine movement. If at all Pakistan was supporting, Pakistan was a party to it. And if India had the right to kill people, Pakistan had the equal right to defend it. And if Pakistan was defending them, why should it be called supporting terrorists? Well, this is an argument which Americans definitely understand. Not that I'm a more wise person and I'm making them understand. They understand all these things so well. In fact, they understand much earlier than what we do. So they should not be calling it like that. That's right. And then the other advantage, which I think the Americans have felt concern all along, is that they somehow or other they have been very